His best friend and one of my very best friends from grade school, both of us from grade school, knew each other after my best friend got married. And she'd been trying to set me up with this guy from Oklahoma, and I kept saying, no, I don't want to date anybody from Oklahoma. Yes, he's really a nice guy. So I finally relented and agreed, and I said, but I'm not going to let him pick me up at the house. I'll meet him for dinner. Okay, well, Greg and Laura, Greg is Mike's best friend, they're going to meet there too. I'm like, okay. So we met at a Mexican food restaurant in Carrollton and had a great time, and so we decided to kind of extend the evening and go to the show. The show was had all just started, so we didn't want to wait around, so we were driving around the parking lot. And Mike had just gotten a new car, or a new truck, and there wasn't enough room for all four of us, so we were in my car. So I was driving around, we were trying to decide what to do, and I started having heart palpitations. So I stopped the car, and everybody was getting nervous, wanted to call an ambulance. No, I'll be okay. And so finally it died down, and I said, well, I think I just better go on home. Well, you're not going to drive yourself. So Mike drove my car, and Greg and Laura took his truck, and they drove me home and got me inside. And when I opened the front door, my 9-month-old English cocker, who is
jet black,
ran out the front door.
Ran out the door. And it was in pitch black because her neighborhood at the time did not have good street lighting. So me and Greg had to go on a run. And finally, several blocks later, we finally caught up to the dog and grabbed her and brought her back to her home.
And then we kind of sat around and talked a little bit, and it was time to go. So they left, and I shut the door, and I thought to myself, I am never going to hear from this guy again. And needless to say, years later, we got married. We'll be married 10 years in November.
When I was in college, I met a guy who asked me to go to church with him. And at the time, I was born and raised Catholic, and I was attending a Catholic university, and I had never been to another faith church before. So I thought, great, this is, expanding my horizons. And we went there and met his group of friends, and they asked me to put an embroidered heart sticker on my chest, which I really didn't want to do because I didn't know what it was. They said, oh, it's just for visiting. I said, okay, I'll do it. So when it was time for everybody to greet everybody, they came, and people came from all over the church and started giving me hugs. Hugs. That was fine. I knew that they were just trying to be welcoming, so I kind of played along. Then we all kind of settled in again, and the pastor started giving his sermon, and it was all about how Catholics worship wrong, which is very interesting to me. So he said that Catholics worship angels, and that Baptists don't worship angels, they worship God, and that everything that Catholics did was wrong. And so the person who brought me was slowly melting because he knew where he had met me, and he knew what my background was. I was just really, really offended. And not just because he was kind of dissing my religion or giving wrong information. I was offended because he was dissing anybody's religion. To me, that just kind of felt fundamentally unchristian in a church. To me, if you don't agree with the way somebody worships, then you don't go to their church. But he made me feel like I never wanted to go back to that church because it was just that offensive to me.